Gorgeous, welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. I hope you're all doing well. So today we're building another house for my save file in Newcrest, and this is a little bit of a special build because this is the house where the Dreamer family is going to live. Now, if you don't know the Dreamer family, they were first introduced in The Sims 2. The family consists of two Sims, Darren and his son Dirk Dreamer. And they had, or Darren had a wife and Dirk has a Dreamer, obviously. Sadly, she had passed away. I believe it was in a fire. And another interesting part about their storyline is that Darren, he also has like a one-sided crush on Cassandra Goth, who is engaged to be married with Don Lothario, who has affairs with both the Caliente twins as well as his maid, Kaylin Langrek. And all these Sims I've already built houses for in my save file, as you might know, in Willow Creek. But today I am making the house for the Dreamer family, and I have also altered their storyline quite a bit. As you know, I'm creating an alternate timeline in my save file, and the idea is that Mr. Goth, what's his name? Mortimer, there we go. Mortimer Goth, he had created a time machine to save his wife Bella from getting abducted by aliens. And so he traveled back in time, and that altered, it set a different chain of events in motion. So the timeline is completely different as it is in The Sims 2. However, it is around the same time. So back to the Dreamer family, apologies. The Dreamer family in my save file, they consist of three Sims. So Darlene, originally she died in a house fire. In this case, there was a house fire, but all three of them got away. So it's still Darlene, Darren, and Dirk living in this house. And I'm not really sure how they got away. I have a feeling, I just have an idea that they are very close to the Goth family anyway, and perhaps they saved all of them from the fire. Something happened and they managed to get away. However, their house was burned to the ground, so they needed a new place to live, and probably with the help of their friends the Goths, they got this house. Because this house is a little bit more on the expensive side, I believe it ends up costing like 100k, which obviously is quite expensive. And if you remember the Dreamer family, they were like struggling artists, or at least Darren Dreamer is a struggling artist. They don't have a lot of money. I believe when you load up the game, you have lots of unpaid bills that you need to get to. So they are struggling quite a bit. I still want to go with that storyline. I kind of imagine that this house being a very old and rundown Victorian, that is not maintained very well. Perhaps it's a bit spooky, it's a bit haunted. So they were able to get this house a lot cheaper than maybe it should have been. And as well, maybe because their friends, the Gods, is a very influential family. They helped them as well to get this house. So yeah, that's the storyline behind this house. So the Dreamer family, they are a sort of chaotic, creative family, especially Darren. He is a painter, and Darlene, I believe in The Sims 3 they mentioned that she was a writer. So I am both going to I don't think I'm going to put them in careers, but definitely they're going to be like some sort of freelancers, and painting and working from home most of the time. And their son Dirk, who is still a teen, he is quite different from his parents. He is more of a science-based sim. I think this was also mentioned in his bio in The Sims 2, that he's always with his nose in the books, and he's very focused on his studies. Maybe he wants to go to university, but of course that's completely up to you, because at this stage Dirk will still be a teenager. So yeah, in terms of these family dynamics, I would think that their storyline is quite wholesome in a way. You know, Darlene and Darren are very, very happy together, having a very good relationship. And although Darren, or not Darren, Dirk is quite different from his parents, I would imagine that they still get along really well. They still are a very, very loving family. However, you know, I would imagine that Dirk is not too happy with the state of this house, because it's not, you know, maintained very well. Since I imagine Darlene and Dirk to be very chaotic, I think their priorities are not so much in trying to keep this house very maintained. So also when we move on to the interior section of this speed build, I tried to reflect their personalities in the interior by making the house a bit messy. You'll see what I mean when we move on to the interior. It's not over the top, because for gameplay I don't like extremely messy houses, if that makes sense, because I find it very distracting. But I do try and reflect their personality. It's not very nicely maintained. Like I made use of a lot of the cracks that came in the vampire and the werewolf packs to make it look like this house is a bit older than it is. Or no, it is very old, but like it's not been maintained very well. And also I want to talk about a feature that I included in this house, and you would have seen me build it. It is the backyard pool, which is not actually a pool, as you can see me working on it. I actually made a basement, and I kind of deleted the ceiling of the basement so it looks like a hole in the ground, and I tiled it to make it look like it used to be a pool. But I still imagine this family to be struggling artists, like they don't have a lot of money at the moment. The bills of this place obviously are going to be quite high, and they needed to dry the pool because they could not afford the upkeep of the pool, and instead they kind of made like a little gardening area there. And I swear, like the funniest thing happened, and maybe I'm going crazy, I don't know, but often when I come up with these kind of storylines of Sims that, you know, existed in the previous Sims games, I always try and do some research beforehand in the Sims fandom wiki page to get some more insight on who are these Sims, what are their bios, what are their names, how are they related, so I can come up with a new and alternate storyline. And I swear that it was in one of the bios of, I think it was Darren, I swear I read something that he had a vision of having an old pool and kind of creating a cacti garden in that pool. And so I read that once and I thought, that is such a cool idea. I want to incorporate that in this build. And then when I had already built this house, okay, and then when I was trying to, because I wasn't really sure where I had read it and I wanted to, you know, incorporate it in this voiceover, when I was trying to find that piece of biography that I read somewhere on the Sims wiki, I could not find it anywhere. And I was so confused. I was like, did I just make this up? I swear I read it somewhere. Did I dream this? Dreamer household, get it? But it was so weird. It was so weird. I had no idea how I came up with this. I swear I did not make it up. I swear I read it somewhere. But maybe it was on another sim. So if one of you guys listening or made it this far into the voiceover, if one of you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know, because I have the feeling that I'm literally going crazy. So please help a girl out, okay? So yeah, that is basically the storyline about this house. As you can see, we have moved on into the interior. I'm so proud of the fireplace placement because it actually lines up perfectly with an interior chimney. So I have like kind of a half chimney on the ground floor, and then a full chimney that kind of goes through the bathroom on the second floor, and then obviously like a chimney on the roof as well. I have one of these, well, I would say it's a pet peeve, but I think I kind of like my builds to be sort of realistic. So I like my fireplaces to be in places that make sense and that, you know, either line up with some kind of a vent or line up with an actual, you know, chimney. I don't like just my fireplaces to be in a random place, and then realistically the smoke wouldn't have any place to go except for into your living space, which is not good, obviously. So yeah, this living room is coming together quite nicely. It is a little bit messy. I hope you can kind of understand what I mean, because it's not extremely messy, but obviously they have like a bit of a messy gallery wall going on. They have like an old TV and lots of like random statues. I think there's like a duck statue on the mantle. So that's what I mean by making it a little bit more messy. And also you would have seen in the kitchen, like I put a high chair there, and maybe it used to be like Dirk's old high chair, but right now they kind of use it as a storage place for cleaning supplies. And I thought, you know, that's kind of funny and also like realistic. Well, realistic, I guess, if you're messy like me, coming up with random storage areas, that to me it's kind of realistic, okay? So yeah, off of this, what I wanted to talk to you about as well is how I came up with the structure of this house. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of using Google Street View for inspiration. And what I have started doing recently, when I find a house that I really, really love, I try and find the address on like either Redfin or Zillow to see if we have some, you know, additional information on the real estate. And sometimes you find out that it's actually a rental place with interior pictures and even a floor plan. So I found this house in Google Street View somewhere in the Garden District of New Orleans, which is my favorite Google Street View place to go. And I saw this house and I Googled it, and yeah, it turned out the entire blueprint prints were available on Redfin, I believe. And I used that as a reference for this house. So that's why when I started this speed build, I actually started just putting the floor plan together very, very quickly. Because I liked it so much, and I thought I wouldn't change it too much. But I did make some little alterations, such as the little sunroom in the back and on the side, which I utilized both for kind of a studio space and like a writing space, which of course suits the Dreamer family really well. And then I also added an additional balcony on the back of this house, which was not in the original floor plan. So yeah, that, I guess that's kind of a building tip for you guys as well. If you want to build a house but you have no inspiration, go into Google Street View and just look at the realistic houses there. Sometimes the facade is enough to work from, but sometimes you just need a little bit more. And often you can find, you know, the address, and you often find interior pictures and sometimes an entire floor plan, which is really, really handy for inspiration purposes, of course. So yeah, that's how I came up with this house. I hope you guys like it. I do quite like how this house turned out. Oh, and quickly, before I forget, also in terms of the storyline for Dirk Dreamer, I have two storylines that I have in mind, but I'm not sure which one we're going to do. Either he's going to have an affair with Angela Pleasant, because in The Sims 2 he has a relationship with Lilith Pleasant, but in my save file, obviously she ran away from home with her girlfriend, and I feel like her being in a relationship with Darren doesn't really suit this universe, or not with Darren, with Dirk, apologies. So maybe, I do imagine them being very good friends, but maybe it would be interesting if he had like an affair with Angela. But I feel like that doesn't suit Dirk that much. because he would kind of go behind, you know, his best friend's back because Lilith and Angela don't get along that well. But it might be interesting. So let me know what you think. Or I would get him involved with Alexander Goth. And I think they would make kind of a cute couple, just thinking about it. I don't have a lot of teens at the moment in my save file, so I want to add a couple more. So I'm just not sure yet what I want to do with his storyline, but those are the two ideas I have at the moment. So let me guys know if you have any additional ideas, or if you prefer one idea over the other, so I can incorporate that in my save file once I'm starting to put in all the Sims. And yeah, we are actually very close to finishing the speed building part of this video. So this is just an additional space, which I imagine that they just use as a kind of messy storage room, which also suits their personality. And this is the final bathroom that I'm furnishing. So I guess I'm just going to leave this voiceover right here. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like or a comment, or feel free to subscribe to stay up to date of my future videos. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!